Hey everyone, welcome to part 4 of CNC's IELTS videos, Speaking. The speaking test is difficult for a lot of students. One of the biggest struggles that students have is they don't know what to say when they are asked a question. This can happen for two reasons. First, students don't know which vocabulary to use, and second, students don't know which answer to give. To help you fix these issues, let's look at part 2 of the test. Imagine you got a card that looks like this. Describe something you own which is very important to you. You should say where you got it from, how long you've had it, what you use it for, and explain why it is important to you. When you get this sheet, you might feel intimidated because there's so much information and you might not know how to respond. The first thing you should do is understand how much time you should spend talking about each part. Remember, you have to speak for 2 minutes. This may not seem like a long time, but may be more difficult than you think to fill the time. So, let's break down how much time you should talk for in each section. The first part reads, describe something you own which is very important to you. You should spend only about 10 seconds on this part. An easy way to do this is by using the same formatting as the sentence itself to create your own. So, it can look something like, something I own which is very important to me is my cell phone. As you can see, all I did here was switch the word you with the words I and me. Okay, now let's look at the next part. You should say where you got it from, how long you've had it, what you use it for. You can spend anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds on this section depending on what you have to say. What you should take note of is the verb tenses. Use the same verb tenses as those that are used in the question. As we can see, the first one is past simple, the second one is present perfect, and the third one is present simple. In basic terms, I can say something like, I got my cell phone from my mom. I've had it for 1.5 years, and I use it for texting, watching YouTube videos, and Google Maps. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. That only took a few seconds. How do I make my answer longer? What do I say? What is the best vocabulary to use here? Let's look at the vocabulary first. There is some vocabulary that you can learn and use for any topic. Here are some examples for you. Such as is the same as for example. Last but not least is the same as finally. And at present is the same as right now. Let's look at the part what you use it for. You could say something like, at present, I use my cell phone for many things such as texting, watching videos on YouTube, and last but not least, Google Maps. I'm new to the city, so I really need that. Here, we can see that even if we don't have enough topic-specific vocabulary, we can still equip ourselves with vocabulary we can use anytime. Another way we can use non-topic specific vocabulary is for something called time fillers. Time fillers, like the name implies, are words or statements that we use just to fill the time. Because remember, we have to talk for 2 minutes. Let's look at the part, how long have you had it? If I didn't use any time fillers, my answer would look something like, I've had my cell phone for 1.5 years. However, if I want to include time fillers, I could say something like, that's a little bit difficult for me to remember. If I was to guess, I would say I've had my cell phone for about 1.5 years. I'm not sure though. Here, we can see that I've added uncertainty to when I got my cell phone. I still answer the question, but by adding the idea that I'm not sure, I'm able to extend how long it takes me to say my answer. Now, let's look at the last part and explain why it is important to you. This last part is where you should spend most of your speaking time. This is a section that will allow you to take the answer wherever you want. You should spend about 1 minute on this part. But I know you're still thinking, what if I don't know what to say? What if I can't think of something I own that's important to me? The best thing I can tell you to do in this situation is lie. Make up an answer. The IELTS examiner is not going to check your life history to see if your story is true. They're only interested in seeing if you can answer the question using a variety of sentence structures, proper vocabulary, and a clear flow of speech. Here's a list of topics that are most commonly seen in the IELTS test. Family, healthcare, the environment, cities and transportation, education, and technology. If you can prepare general information about these topics, you should be able to fit them into many questions that you may encounter in the test. As we saw, my answer about cell phones relates to technology. Like I said, the speaking test is often the most difficult for students, not in terms of skill, but in terms of fear. Students get really nervous about speaking in front of others, so please remember these tips. I hope you can use these to boost your confidence. Remember, your voice is who you are. It's your identity, so never be shy and never be afraid to use it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.